The first drop of rain hit the polished lid of the coffin just as the priest said, "Ashes to ashes." Was such a small sound, barely a tap, but it echoed through me like a crack in glass. I stood there, my black gloves trembling, staring at the name engraved in gold, Edward James Holloway, beloved husband, beloved if only they knew. The wind shifted, carrying whispers between the mourners. My son Daniel stood beside me, his hand resting firmly on my shoulder, not gently, but as if anchoring me. Or controlling me. "Stay strong, Mom," he murmured. I nodded, though my eyes remained fixed on the coffin, because something wasn't right. Edward had died suddenly, too suddenly. A heart attack, they said, no warning, no illness, no goodbyes, just gone after 42 years of marriage. And yet I hadn't cried, not once, not because I didn't love him, but because a quiet voice deep inside me kept asking the same question: was he really gone? The priest finished his prayer. The crowd shifted. Someone sobbed loudly behind me. And then my phone vibrated. I almost ignored it. Funerals are not the place for messages, especially not from unknown numbers. But something cold and insistent made me reach into my purse. I glanced down. Unknown number. My heart gave a strange, uneven beat. I opened the message. And the world stopped. "I'm alive. Don't trust them." My breath caught in my throat. For a moment I couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't even breathe. Then my fingers began to shake. Another message appeared. "Rose, listen carefully. You're in danger." The phone slipped in my hand. I whispered. Daniel's voice sharpened. "What is?" Quickly locked the screen and forced a weak smile. "Nothing, just someone sending condolences." He studied me a second too long, then nodded, but I could feel it, his suspicion, or was it fear? The burial continued. People stepped forward one by one, placing roses on the coffin. When it was my turn, I hesitated. My hand hovered over the polished wood. "Edward, if you're alive, then whose funeral is this?" I placed the rose down anyway, because something told me this wasn't over, not even close. That night the house felt too large, too quiet. Too wrong. Edward's slippers were still by the bed, his glasses still rested on the nightstand. Everything looked exactly the same, except for one thing. Him. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. The messages hadn't stopped, but I hadn't opened them, not yet. Because once I did, everything would change. Finally I exhaled slowly and unlocked the screen. 5 new messages. My fingers hesitated, then tapped. "Rose, if you're reading this, it means they haven't taken your phone yet. You need to act normal. Daniel is not who you think he is." My chest tightened. "That's not possible," I whispered. Daniel was my son, my only child, the one who had arranged everything, the funeral, the paperwork, the doctors, the one who held me when they told me Edward was dead. Another message appeared. "Check the study. Bottom drawer. Code is your anniversary." My heart pounded. April 17. I stood slowly. The house creaked around me as I stepped into the hallway. Every shadow felt deeper, every sound felt louder. The study door stood slightly open. Edward's study. He never let anyone touch his things, not even me. A strange chill ran through me as I pushed the door open. Inside, everything was perfectly arranged, books aligned, desk spotless, as if he had just stepped out. I moved toward the desk. My hands trembled as I pulled the bottom drawer. Locked, of course. I entered the code 0417. Click. The drawer slid open. Inside, a folder, thick, heavy, marked with a single word, "Truth." Me breath caught. I opened it, and my world shattered. Documents, bank statements, photographs, contracts, and at the very top, a picture of Daniel, standing beside a man I had never seen before, both of them smiling, both of them shaking hands, and behind them, a building I recognized instantly. A private medical facility, the same one where Edward had died. Hands shook as I flipped through the pages: illegal transfers, fake medical reports, forged signatures, and then the final document, a life insurance policy. Edward's name, beneficiary Daniel Holloway, amount $500,000. No, my voice broke. Footsteps echoed behind me. I froze. Slowly I turned. Daniel stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. "How long have you been in here, Mom?" he asked quietly. My heart slammed against my ribs. I was just... His eyes dropped to the folder in my hands, and something shifted, something dark. "You weren't supposed to find that," he said. The softness in his voice was gone, replaced by something cold, something dangerous. My throat tightened. "What is this?" He stepped closer, slow, calm, controlled. "It's complicated." "Father, is he alive?" I whispered. Silence. For a split second I saw it. Hesitation, then he smiled, but it wasn't the smile I knew. "Does it matter?" he said. My knees weakened. "What did you do?" He sighed as if I were the problem. "Everything I had to." "To what?" My voice rose. "Bury your father." "He's not dead," Daniel snapped. The room spun. "What?" "He's alive," Daniel said, his tone sharp. "But he's supposed to be dead." Breath caught. "Why?" Daniel laughed bitterly. "Because that's the only way we could get the money." Hands went cold. Didn't answer because we both knew. My phone buzzed again. Daniel's eyes flicked to it. "Who's messaging you?" he asked. "No one." Me the phone. "No." His expression hardened. "Mom." I stepped back. "Daniel." For the first time in my life I was afraid of my own son. The phone buzzed again, and before I could stop myself I looked. Rose, you need to leave now, they're watching you. Daniel moved fast, he grabbed my wrist. Give it to me, I pulled away. No, the phone slipped and hit the floor. The screen cracked, but the message remained. Daniel saw it, his face changed completely. Who is that? He demanded. I stared at him, my son or the stranger standing in front of me. I don't know, I said truthfully. He grabbed my shoulders. You're lying. I'm not. The room felt like it was closing in. You don't understand, Daniel said, his voice low and urgent. This was supposed to be simple. I laughed shakily. Faking your father's death is simple. You think I had a choice, he snapped. I shouted. You always have a choice. Silence fell between us, heavy, tense. Then a new voice spoke. From behind him, she's right. Froze. Slowly he turned, and I did too, standing in the doorway, alive, breathing. Real was Edward. The world tilted. Edward, my voice barely existed. He looked older, tired, but unmistakably him. Sorry, Rose, he said softly. Daniel stepped back. You weren't supposed to be here. Edward's eyes hardened. Neither were you. Trusted you, Edward said, his voice filled with something deeper than anger. And you betrayed me. I did this for us, Daniel shot back. Edward said quietly, you did it for yourself. Head spun. Someone explain what is happening, I whispered. Edward stepped closer to me carefully. As if I might break. I staged my death, he said, but not for the reason you think. I stared at him. Then why? Because someone was stealing from me, he said. From us. Heart dropped. I needed to find out who. His eyes moved to Daniel and everything clicked. Daniel shook his head. No, you don't get to twist this. You forged documents, Edward said. You bribed doctors. You started it, Daniel yelled. I tested you, Edward replied coldly. And you failed. Silence that followed was unbearable. I looked between them, my husband, my son, strangers, both of them. I got the messages, I said suddenly. Edward looked at me. That was you, he nodded. I needed to warn you. Why not tell me the truth? Because I didn't know who I could trust, he said. My chest tightened. Even me. His silence was answer enough. Something inside me broke, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a thread snapping. I buried you today, I said. Edward flinched. I stood there thinking you were gone. I'm sorry. No, I said, shaking my head. You're not, laughed bitterly. See, this is what you wanted, isn't it? Control. Power. I wanted honesty, Edward said. I wanted respect. Daniel shouted. The argument rose again, but I couldn't hear it anymore because suddenly I understood. Both of them had lied, both of them had used me, both of them had made choices, and now they expected me to pick a side. I picked up my phone. Lawyer's number is still saved, I said calmly. They both stopped. Daniel asked. I'm done, I said, with both of you. Edward's face fell. Rose, no. Voice was steady, stronger than I felt. I spent 42 years trusting you, I told Edward. And you faked your death. I turned to Daniel. And I spent my life raising you and you tried to profit from it. Silence, heavy, final. I don't want the money, I said. I don't want the lies. I took a deep breath. I want peace. For the first time that day, I felt it. I walked past them, out of the study, out of the house, out of the life I thought I had. Later, as I sat in a quiet hotel room, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from Edward. I never meant to hurt you. I stared at it for a long time, then I typed back. But you did. I turned off the phone. And this time I didn't look back. Moral of the story, trust is not broken in a moment, it is eroded by choices. And sometimes the greatest strength is not in holding on to people who deceive you, but in having the courage to walk away, even when it costs you everything.